Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUY. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
You know what? I talk to your mayor.
Stomping the floppy shoes so hard, Italy to class delirious. You praying to stop so much, it's like you're having a religious experience. Despite all of your denials, I know that you know me. And your crew asked your girl the last time she phoned me. Allegedly, just admit that even now you sing along. And even after I've wrecked you, you gotta bump my song. You should copyright loser because the dictionary cloned you. Crushed so hard, now my cleats own you. It's that umbrella guy, clutching the verbal hammer, locking you down in this inescapable syllable slammer. You wanna step up and try to oppose me? Yeah, you should ask anyone that really knows me. I'll take your blame, your girl, your dog, and move in your home, only to get out the verbal flamethrower and consume your plastic gnomes. You drift, you whip, you ride, your bride consumed by this mic hitter, just to drop them on the market to the highest bidder. It's that umbrella guy, live from the hat rack, with elbows that hit so hard you'll think it's a nuclear impact. I mean respecting you, please, that's the word you'll never earn. Yet another lesson you clowns have never learned. Along with standing tall and pride and repping values that you feel, and not fake morals you found inside your happy meal. I listen to you with your speaking style education, wondering if your parents bred with their relations. Wearing your big red nose and still thinking that you're a star, while you're forced to bump that umbrella guy inside your clown car. Yeah, it's that umbrella guy, broadcasting live to the masses. Timing out full, sorry we ran out of free passes. We gotta go further and not just expose you. Listen and believe royalty, we gotta depose you. Getting masked up because this flow is criminal. Dropping hammers so hard, they're subliminal. Unconsciously you want me to own you, as the parasol pope is set to dethrone you. And I'm out.
And I'm not really out. What's up, babies? How's it going today? Welcome to a second installment of What's My Line? Actually, today has been a wild one too. I mean, yesterday we have Bruce P. Manskin. he ends up getting bounced off the case. Today we have a please God, let me off the case too. Scram from the from the nosebleed section. Yeah, and I kind of pieced together how that happened. So we've got some new portions to throw into that. And it's really questionable. You know, there have been people that, again, you know, all of this preys on your empathy anyway. Oh man, you know, is a person really sick? Are they going through problems? But I always look at that again. Stark, when I look at him in the two cases that he was involved in, I always remember he wouldn't have had any empathy for me. You know, they wanted to pull me into one case, and they're still talking about pulling us all into another case, and they would have no empathy. Health problems, anything else? Oh no. In fact, they would have gone, I'm sure, in the ecosystem. Say Jeremy Hales would have had a health problem, you know? I'm sure they would do live streams over it, talking smack about him. They talk smack about his mental health. They talk smack about prior relationships, current relationships, everything else. So I don't really feel that I'm obligated to empathy. You know, I'm not obligated to nicety on the best of days, but with somebody that would want to do financial harm to me or the people that I know, people that I like or care about, yeah, no, not at all. So I keep that in mind too. Oh man. Now, I want to start out. I also want to show you, first of all, on this. I also want to show you, and I want to record this for posterity as well. We have Preston deciding that she should post a lot. And I mean, that is her, that's her thing if she wants to do that. But I like going over that stuff because when she's posting, that's just her admitting to things or lying and being caught into it, or taking things and twisting and morphing them into what they weren't. A lot of it, though, a lot of what we're seeing, in my opinion at least, is trying to keep you from noticing Bruce is gone and asking those questions. You know, what's really interesting too is Preston has been commenting on her own YouTube, using its posting like it's a forum, you know, for conversation. And to me, that's interesting because there's no, what you can see from it. Let me show you this real quick, okay? Because this is actually fascinating. What you see here, this tells you just how many comments get deleted with other channels and more. I mean, when you look at this, I mean, this has been madness. And I actually was looking at this earlier, by the way. Give me 1 second here. So I was looking at commentary on, 1 second. I'm going to make sure I get the right one of these. All right, check this out. So this is her posting. All right, and we'll go over a few of these posts. That's not the point I want to make right here. What I want to make is a point is just how much conversation is scrubbed off of the other ecosystem comments. Because like this right here, for example, this one has 91 comments on it. Now, you don't see that many comments on anything from the ecosystem because typically they scrub comments. They only make it look like people agree with them. They take away anyone that disagrees. But here, you're having some interesting unfiltered conversations. And we're going to look at some of that too today. Today, I want to start off with something interesting, though. It's very fascinating, in my opinion. It is our wonderful our confirmation. Check this out. This is the thing that they all don't want to talk about. And I kind of think this is funny, considering you have the court docket. Now, you will see, of course, that I have removed email addresses and I have removed other addresses off of this too. So you'll have gaps in there, but that is exactly how this posts, just to say. On here, you'll notice that you have LMNOP with all of the names that come along with it. You know, Lynette, Michelle, Lacey, Alexis, Preston. Man, I swear to God. If somebody were to look at this, I wonder, by the way, if you were just to show this to a random person and remove the defendant thing, would they think that's 5 people being sued? Because that does not look like a name, you know? when I first saw that, I was like, that can't be one person, can it? You know, John Cook, his name over here. It looks so lonely, doesn't it? John Cook. I mean, you're talking 8 letters. One of her names takes up more space in that than freaking his entire name. So all this other is more like, hey, you would not buy a vowel and a consonant. I feel like we're playing the most jacked up game of Wheel of Fortune ever. I'd like to buy an A, please. Ding, 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 ding. You buy a lot of E's for real. Boom, 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 boom. But you notice here, represented by. Who are they represented by? Oh, well, Lacey, Michelle, I'm sorry. Lynette, rather, Michelle, Lacey, Alexis Preston is represented by the law firm of Lynette, Michelle, Lacey, Alexis Preston. Oh, wow. What is that? Oh, they're pro se right now. That's right. Why? Because termination. And you notice yesterday's date is in the docket now. You know, terminated 04/14/2025, attorney to be noticed. So again, you have your proof on docket as well. I mean, we've had our order already, so of course you have that. But there's this weird thing. Like I said, they keep arguing that he wasn't terminated. Even she seems to be implying that in some comments that I saw. And that's fascinating considering that's how he got out of the case. They got rid of him. That because if he would have been like, yo, I want to leave, that wouldn't have worked. It has to be something else, you know. Here's another thing, by the way. I was hearing some more about, but I really got thinking about too. You know, the whole security thing, right? So the security thing, when you read over the security he supposedly had with him, what it says on the security thing, when you look at it, is that he had an SUV presence, you know, that was sweeping. They were doing sweeps. Now, can somebody explain this to me? Because I'm having a real difficult time trying to make this make sense. If I were going to hire, like say you and I are going to go to court, right? And I'm like, oh man, that person over there, them, whomever, they terrify me. They absolutely terrify me. And I'm afraid something might happen in court. How would I handle that? Would I get an SUV to sweep the public venue where everyone is allowed to go? Would that make sense? Or would I hire 1, 2, 3, whatever people to walk with me and to go into the open courtroom where they 100% would be allowed to escort me into and to sit down with me as well? Because it just sounds very strange. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm not looking at that right, but that does not make sense. And I'm sure that, again, all of these are just talking points. In fact, I'm sure that was a talking point that was planted a long time ago. Because when you think about this, number one, who has a protective order? When you're talking about people that should be afraid of other folks, who has the protective order for them? And honestly, was threatened with violence. Where is that court documented and proven? And who has made some pretty awful threats, especially bringing in someone like paint chips? Because when you look at that versus looking at the reaction, that seems like window dressing to me. It's very strange. Also, and I got thinking about this too, I'm really glad that Bruce actually agrees with Jeremy Hales. That's right. Bruce 100% endorses Jeremy Hales. And if you're like, man, that's a shocking statement, Todd, well, think about this, right? When the protective order that Jeremy Hales had temporarily assigned, he lost all of his rights for protecting himself and more for a a protective order that ended up getting dropped. Remember that temporary protective order that was brought until things were dropped, that impacted Jeremy Hale's ability to not only protect himself, to carry to walk strapped, let's say, and to protect himself and his loved ones, but also to hire security. Now, Bruce obviously believes that people, when they are in fear, they should be able to pick up security, right? So I'm glad to know that Bruce, he abhors the fact that protective order was brought with really nothing behind it against Jeremy Hales. I'm sure he's glad it was dropped, and that Jeremy Hales now can hire security whenever he needs it. That's very nice of Bruce. I'm glad that he admitted that. He admitted it through action, of course. I want to show you something, by the way. I was showing these off earlier. I've been playing with moving pictures, and some of them are cool. Like, give me a second here. Like I pulled up some, I was making some from the comic and stuff like that. And some of these are cool. And then I pulled up over paint chips and stuff. So the cool ones, the ones, I've been having a little fun. Like the ones from the comics, for example. You get your werewolf moving. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that cool? Look at that umbrella guy's like, oh my gosh, a werewolf, right? That's pretty good. Then you get then I thought, why don't we bring up Darth Touch? Why don't we bring him up and see exactly how AI would make him move? Okay, now again, there are no commands in this, just a note on how to move or anything like that. I just asked AI, hey, why don't you make this guy move? Look at this. I showed this off before. So this is what it decided was the perfect way of making him move. Look at this here. It's like, look at his hair creeping. Isn't that awesome? Look at the hair creeping. I love this picture, by the way. I think it's so funny. It cracks me up. I'm wondering, like, I didn't make this, so I see the hair piece. There's the Megan picture, of course. I guess this is I don't know. Is this his witness interview attachments? Of course, you got to have a baby bottle, right? And maybe a mini hair piece too. I'm not saying one, just saying, right? And the paint chips one was funny too. The paint chips one actually cracked me up as well. Because again, I didn't tell AI what it needed to do with these. AI decided how it would make them look by themselves. So this is what AI decided that paint chips should actually have going with them. Check this out. He's like, look up. Oh, yummy. And he eats his keyboard. What is up with that? Yum, yum. Oh my God, that's so good. Again, AI 100% decided that was the way that it should go. Oh my God. AI's been on a roll lately. It's got that. It's got the again. I told it to put together the actually movements, and this one happened. It was like, oh yeah, I'm hitting here. Paint. you notice, what's really funny is if you focus in the background, notice paint chips eating paint in the background. Look, he's like squeezing it into a spoon. I love that. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Some of these are so good. I do love the actually one too. It's like, well, actually, I wasn't fired. I was just terminated. It's like, okay, buddy. I like the little cloud goblin too. You know, the cloud goblin. It's like, behold the cloud goblin. It will show up in live streams and ask for your monies. Precious. Oh my goodness. There are some pretty funny ones too. I do. It does some odd ones. I mean, I like some of the ones like this, like, ooh, moving tongue. Yeah, ooh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Or, hey, oh no, I'm in trouble. Hold that up now, sir. Hold it up higher. There you go. Good job. Again, prognosticator. What do I see happening? I see someone saying their leg snapped off. I see giant Chihuahua statues placed. We were talking about that earlier today. I still 100%. If you missed Megan's stream, by the way, everybody give Megan a happy birthday. She is not feeling good today. That's why we did a live stream earlier instead of going on her channel tonight, because she's been feeling ill. So she was feeling ill enough that she couldn't go and have fun with the fam and everything. But we did have a stream earlier, so that was good. It was good to hang out. And I had actually, it's funny, I'd hit her up earlier and I was like, you got to stream on your birthday. Come on now. You know? So it did. And there was some good breaking news, which again, we're not just going to rehash the breaking on that. We're going to talk about the chain that came up on. But in that, we were talking about Shara's Depot. Now, in Shara's Depot, we learned a bunch of things. You know, we learned about everything from hitmen to allegations that LMNOP had made, where she said that Mr. Hales was going to hire someone to take out an elected official, which was crazy as hell. But there was the conversation about the two small dogs, you know, where they had their big fallout. And their fallout was, it was the first fallout we all noticed with Shara and LMNOP. You know, all of that, it kind of spilled out where everyone could see it. There were items that addressed melatonin, but on top of that, there were allegations about her wanting to off a couple of dogs. And according to somebody that was in the chat, they said that the dogs are fine, by the way. So that is a good way to turn that out. Because like I was saying, if those dogs, if something did happen to them, I think we have a good idea here. I think we should build a monument to each one. That's what we're supposed to do, right? And we put it this close to the property of somebody that, well, you know how that would go. 40 feet tall. They must be 40 feet tall. They don't have to be made out of gold, but they definitely need to be golden colored. That was an addition from others. Oh, man. I really do think, if nothing else, to commemorate those moments, Tubetown really does need at least maybe not a 40-foot tall Chihuahua, but it does need one that's kind of tall. Wouldn't that be awesome? Oh man, you could tell the story. We could do it like it reminds me of Mad Max. You know, the third Mad Max, when the little kids, they're out there telling the written history of the world. We could have the written history of Otter Creek right across the wall there, you know. And then we came to the great boom and the two dogs. Two dogs entered. Luckily, two dogs left. So that's good, at least. At least. Oh, yeah, this is actually a good question, too. Here, let me pull this up, because there was a good question right here. By the way, check this out. I'll read everybody, obviously. Thank you all. If you like the channel, by the way, and want to support it, it is welcome for sure. You know, all of this stuff. Oh, it's been crazy to keep up with, but just J-Hip, he asked here, and this is something going on you probably don't know about right now. You have paint chips randomly emailing any and everyone. And he is, he definitely is. You know, usually it's Darth Touch mailing everybody. Again, I have had whacked out exes that have been less possessive in their writing. But along with that, you have paint chips writing now and just making crazy freaking allegations and demanding denouncement. And I always think that's funny, considering this is a guy, again, a extortionist, a convicted fraud as well, demanding denouncement. First of all, is there an or else in there? Are you trying to extort something from us, big man? But shouldn't people, if they demand behavioral prompts, if they demand people be excised because of allegations, well, then if somebody's been convicted of something terrible, shouldn't those people be on the outs? Just wondering. But yeah, he's been, I mean, it is unhinged. Actually, you want to talk about unhinged, Just J Hip, by the way. Some of the stuff he's mailed before is really out there. And threats of doxing. I mean, like I said, the guy, he was acting so crazy. He wanted to get a hold of my wife in something, and he didn't have her email address. So he was guessing at it, and he mailed multiple emails, like a bunch of them, just randomly, hoping that he would find the right person. So he mailed allegations about Jeremy Hales to random emails that we have no idea who they're to. So it's not somebody that's in the circle. I really want you to really absorb what I'm saying here because of how crazy this is. You're not talking about a layer of people that are involved in a case, or the people outside that layer that are covering it, or even outside that layer that have something to do with people covering it, or, you know, that are related to people in the case or whatever. No, there's just this external anyone else because, hey, maybe they could find a connection to you. That's wild and crazy behavior. And that's what we've seen there. So yeah, it is pretty nuts. All right, so check this out. This, if you have not been keeping up with the Stark craziness, by the way, this stuff, I mean, it is something else. You know, Stark officially went off the reservation. He did. You know, he went, and I'm sure they think they have some kind of plan involved in this stuff, but I wonder with this motion to withdraw that's turned into God knows what, because he didn't get his way for his motion to withdraw. Remember, Stark, give me 1 second. I want to put this up here. Actually, let me throw this in here too. I'm going to pull up the original. I'm going to pull up the motion to withdraw as well, just to make the point on that. You know, you have Stark demanding that he be allowed out of this case, and he's angry that he's actually not in this case. I mean, or rather, he's not been let out of this case. You know, he is quite unhappy with that. You can tell from his reaction. His reaction today, woo, he goes to next level. Like, I'll show you. So remember, we started with his motion to withdraw. Now, all of that right before it, remember, we had the case. It gets dismissed. They're like, hey, you know, I'm going to wipe this off the board. We're going to put these claims in something bigger. That's what we were told. Okay. Now, of course, in doing that, they opened themselves up for sanctions, which Bruce argued that couldn't happen. You remember that. And I'm sure with Bruce saying it couldn't happen, that Stark probably thought, hey, he's not on the hook for sanctions either, which he was. He found out really rudely. That wake-up call, it comes pretty hard and pretty fast. It was a big wake-up call. And it said, yeah, you are indeed entitled to potential sanctions. So after that, we have depo from Stark. which was fascinating. And the things we found out about it, yeah, they were pretty good. Then we have Elemental P. She was supposed to be deposed, but right before she was deposed, 15 minutes before, we have Stark say, nope, not going to be there. Got another case, which is interesting, and this I think needs to be brought up too. This is something that I really feel like needs to be brought before the court, because Stark right now is using medical. He used it before to push this out a month, and now he's used it yet again to push things out, after all this insanity. But his excuse to not have LMNOP pop up when she was supposed to be deposed is that he was in court. He's unwell enough not to go to court for this, but he is well enough to go to court for something else. Either that's just an excuse that popped up that, well, it doesn't fit in, or he did something when he wanted to, but when he's being taken to task because of his screw ups here, he's like, oh, no. So anyway, 15 minutes before, he says, neither I nor my client are going to be in there. So Randy Shockett, of course, he wants to compel the witness. That's what you want. Again, this is their case. They brought it against Jeremy Hale. So you have to remember that too, because the way they talk about this case, you would think that Jeremy Hale's brought it, but they have twisted that thing up so much. Again, I'll show you something with Bruce again, just to hammer that later on after we talk about the new stuff. But this is something they brought. So yet again, in another case, Preston has tried this before. She didn't want to be deposed. So you see exactly how she reacts to that. Well, after the motion to compel, and noting everything about Stark, saying, hey, he won't answer the phone, he won't return emails or more. Right after that goes in, you end up with this motion to withdraw as counsel. Where he's like, hey, come now again. Scott Stark files his motion to withdraw as counsel. He states he has health issues that would hinder his ability to serve his client at the present time. He has cataract surgery again. I don't know how many eyes he has, but there have been a lot of questions about that. He has other complications, such as a foot wound from diabetes, congestive heart failure. Yeah, he can't do that, right? Now, he's been getting a little frisky about that. He really wants off this, to the point that he's been following up in emails and messaging and stuff saying, hey, I'd like to know when I will be officially withdrawn. So he assumes that he will be able to drop out. Now, Bruce dropped out a different way. You have to understand. Bruce actually withdrew from his case in a totally separate manner. And the way he did that was saying, oh, they got rid of me. Stark went a different direction. And that's kind of not a good route that he took, because instead, now that again, this wouldn't get you out of sanctions anyway, but he took the method of saying, I have health problems. And after he files it, he thinks that I'm going to be withdrawn. When can I? And then there's this other statement. I don't understand this. I need the Zoom. What does that mean? Does he think that Zoom only comes with the courtroom? I'm very confused by that. I need the Zoom. Does he think you can only use it once? Like somebody in the chat, maybe you can explain that to me. Maybe he means not Zoom, like being able to broadcast. Maybe he's like a car. He's like, I need the Zoom. I don't know what this means, though. I am so confused by what the hell that's supposed to mean. I need the Zoom. Now, the reason I'm bringing all of this up is because I want to show you how he gets to, I'm going to the ER right this moment, because you notice, yeah, he's got these issues there. He asks for, when am I going to be officially withdrawn? I need to know right now because I need the Zoom to, I'm going to have to pull these up in pieces to make sure I get them in the right order. So you'll have to bear with me, give me a little patience. Oh, it's so crazy, man. And this stuff is so crazy. All of it is crazy. So you have the court tell them, well, wait a minute. I didn't realize that was there. The court actually comes in and notes, the motion to withdraw and motion to continue, they've been brought to the judge's attention for review. All right. So I was unaware of the filing until I reviewed the case yesterday. So just like the rest of us out here, the court here, they're like, what the hell is going on with this case? And I'm not talking about they're confused by sanctions and more. They probably thought, like the rest of us do, that these people are going to show up on the 16th, which would be tomorrow. See, they waited till the last minute to pull this shit again. Again, remember, I want to know when my withdraw, that's going to be allowed, because he's trying at the last minute. Again, one day before he decides, hey, I'm going to put that in. And like I said, they're confused by that, because if you're going to have problems, if you have something that's coming up that's going to give you some kind of issue, some kind of conflict, typically you don't write a day before and you say, hey, I've got this going on. And so far we don't have anything that's noted health problem or more. I'm going to have to go to the hospital right this moment. That's not what was noted at the beginning. It's only when you have problems that's going to come in. So they say, I was unaware of filings until I reviewed the case yesterday. Courtesy copies of motions that require the court's review should be sent to our office. So apparently the way that was filed, this tells you too. Like I said, Scott Stark, I realize Bruce, when we look at him, he has not been a good lawyer. But Stark, he's an absentee lawyer. It's like he's not even part of this case. Like, he doesn't understand protocol, what they're supposed to be doing, and more. I mean, you look at that. They're saying, hey, as a courtesy, maybe you should send things to us too, But Stark has this thing about just sending out messages, apparently. At first, he didn't ask the court to withdraw. From what I understand, he asked Randy to withdraw. And Randy was like, that's not up to me, man. I don't control this. But it just shows you, it's strange. He doesn't feel like a practicing lawyer sometimes. He feels like just somebody that is bumbled in there. And you're like, yeah, sure, I've got this going on. So that was our second exchange that came up. Okay. Then, give me a minute here. Then we have the answer that actually comes in. Now, this is when this is what triggers the, oh my gosh, health problems here. So I'm hoping this still stands, by the way. Maybe some clarification should be noted with this, because it says, hello, Judge Davis is denying the motion for continuance without prejudice, as the motion did not include a certificate of conferral. Now, I find that to be funny, because this has happened multiple times. It has happened in this case. It has happened in other cases. And that is one of Bruce's favorite talking points. It always has been. He likes to throw the certificate of conferral. That was the way that he tried to knock out Randy's motion, where you ended up with sanctions. That's the way he tried to attack that. He's tried to attack other motions as well. I mean, that's pretty much been his go-to bread and butter method of going after stuff. So when you have Stark not doing that, you got to wonder, you got to wonder about the communication. Again, I'm curious if they thought they were doing something slick with this, or if Stark was told, hey, sorry about this, but the gig's up, you know, and he's like, oh, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here now. You know, and that's why he wants out. Because, again, they posted a lot about vehicle. They posted, you know, it was strange about this whole money thing. They seemed to think that they were going to get. They thought they were going to have some kind of payday off of Jeremy Hales. And now we've gotten to this. And remember, again, I keep hammering this point home because I really found this to be kind of curious. You had in 7 days, you had not one, but 2 lawyers that pulled away from Lynette Preston. In the span of 1 week, both lawyers that were attached, that we know, the only lawyers that we know that have been attached to anything. You know, because Ohio, as far as I understand, that lawyer is long gone. So as far as this stuff is concerned, so we get, you know, you may appear by Zoom for tomorrow's hearing, and the information is, of course, attached. Additionally, the judge requests that you submit medical documentation or a letter from your doctor as to your current medical diagnosis, you know, with everything. Again, because I think that this is a valid thing, but I would want more than just a medical diagnosis, because a medical diagnosis can be cheap and easy to get, you know? Like currently, for example, if I took myself, I currently have diagnoses. I mean, hell, I have a permanent disability, but that doesn't keep me from doing things. There's a difference. It would be the easiest chip to go in and, you know, to push in and say, I'm playing that, I'm all in, versus the reality. So I would think, you know, you need some medical documentation saying, yo, like the cataract surgery, for example. Again, his excuses, I would really like to see something that just backed that up, because he played that card before. And remember, I mean, his excuses, and I wonder if this panicked him in there, because he said, you know, he didn't say, I'm having, this is a kicker here. All right. When you look at this, you got to remember how wording went. When you look at his motion for withdrawal, he doesn't state that I'm having procedures done. He states I need them done. Big difference. You know, when you look at this again, he said needs, not is going to have anytime soon. You know, I mean, me, I need a gold-plated 40-foot Chihuahua. I'm just saying, that was an example, just a random one out there. You know, I very much need that in my life, though. I can see it now. Somebody's going to send me like a tiny gold-painted Chihuahua to the P.O. box. I could see it. And if you do, love you for it. I do. It's funny stuff. Anytime I mention something wild, it's something in the P.O. box. Actually, I keep imagining when I see it in my head. I don't see it like a little Chihuahua, though. You know how piggy banks are really fattened. You know, they're fattened out and rounded. I imagine like a Chihuahua, but rounded out like a little piggy bank, sitting 40 feet high over that property, looking down. That's how I'm seeing it in my head. So, but reel it back in. He says need. You know, he says, I have complications. I have these issues. Okay, well, he may have had those issues the entire time. Was he planning on the case? Any kind of depot? Actually, I don't feel like he was planning on doing any of that stuff. I think as with a lot of things, there was the idea that there was going to be a settlement come in. So that could have been a real problem. And the reason I note that is because afterwards, you know, you have come in right after that. You have, let's see, give me a second here. You have the subject of, I have been ordered now to go to the ER. This is the subject by my cardiologist. I would like to know when I'll be officially drawn. I need the Zoom. You saw the subject, right? And then it's like, hey, lady, lady here. I've been ordered now to go to the ER by my cardiologist. He heard my breathing heavily. Wait. So again, he's like, I've got to go to the ER right now. And again, it seems very panicked, doesn't it? I mean, wouldn't you consider that a bit of holy crap? Because like I said, the prior was, hey, by the way, you're going to have to do this stuff. And he's like, oh no, I'm going to the doctor right now. I mean, it just looks panicky, does it not? And going to the ER, by the way, does not mean a damn thing when it comes to all of these other claims. I could go to the ER. I've been to the ER a few times. I could go up there for anything. Going to the ER, setting up a doctor appointment, that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. What I'd be curious about is if he had a cardiologist actually say that he needed to go to the ER. That would be my question. Not, did you go to the ER? But did your cardiologist actually say that? Did you see them today and then they tell you to go? And even if they did, was that a plan to do things? I'm curious about that. So after that rolls in, then the court notes on that, they end up continuing. So, I mean, he played it even heavier. Before it was just a play on the, I need to withdraw. And then it became hey, because of this, the court apparently received a voicemail about it too. That's what we're finding out. It must have been very important for him to, not drop in the emails anymore and him to actually go to voicemail. I mean, man, see that to me, that sounds like heavy panic, does it not? I mean, doesn't that to you? Doesn't that sound like some real panic to you? Because you went from, I got to withdraw, I need the Zoom, to, I'm going to the ER right now. And the court's like, and of course the court does this. The court doesn't sit and second guess people. Although you do get the feeling that Davis was like, this seems a little peculiar, I almost said pecuniary, by the way. This does seem a little peculiar. Well, no. That's not how it works. But it does seem a little peculiar, doesn't it? And I really think the judge was thinking that. So the court is back. The court received a voicemail from Stark's office. That would be his wife, by the way, which I'm curious about too. Okay. Like riddle me this. His wife, you're going to tell me that his quote unquote office, if they're calling and saying they're the office, again, are they in the ambulance with him? Are they not with him at all? Because if they're, or I'm sorry, I was imagining an ambulance. I need to back that out. They didn't ever say anything about an ambulance. They said, you need to go yourself. So you're telling me he drove himself? This man who, they also don't have a car. How are they en route? I'm confused by everything here. Actually, the more I think about it, because they've told us they don't have a vehicle. Remember that. They don't have a car. They posted about that, and they were going to get them a brand new one. It's taking a bus to the hospital. But it notes that he is en route to the ER. Now, based on this development, Judge Davis, he will continue tomorrow's hearing. And they'd send dates. So we don't have dates on that yet. But isn't this messed up? I mean, again, you have them waiting to the last minute to do something. They go down. That's why they were going to end up having to do this. It wasn't necessarily, see, he's still on the hook for sanctions. This has not saved his butt. He Ubers to the. You know what I want to see? I want to see him get on a little moped. And maybe, like I said, maybe he has medical problems. And if you think I'm a dick in saying this, like I said, this asshole was more than willing to sue. They threatened me. I had a lot going on at the time, too. Do you think that they gave a shit that I had a lot going on? Absolutely not. They didn't care one bit. You know, and if it would have been medical, if this would have been me, they would have, like I said, they would have absolutely gone out. They would have tried to cause issues. You can imagine the filings if you pulled this a day before or 15 minutes before. Could you imagine how that would have gone over? It would have gone over like a lead balloon. But they went after Larry. They went after DJ Radis. They went after George. They went after Jeremy. And they didn't give a crap about, again, all the stuff that they've been dealing with. Starr didn't give a crap. He couldn't even be bothered to figure out what was going on in this case. What it looked like to me he cared about was ye old dollar signs. He got paid because he certainly wasn't doing any fucking filing. He has to sign something, or it has to be electronically signed with him. He took credit for it. I'm going to go with that. He took credit for the final draft of something. You have to be kidding me. There's no way. His name was attached to 2 lawsuits. They both end up getting dropped. And Bruce drops out. Strange, right? And it was fascinating considering you had, like, Larry, for example. Larry had posted about this earlier, because Larry, I think, Larry was going to at least be there Zoom-wise. He absolutely has the right to be there. So Larry was definitely going to be there. But he noted, and this is before, you can see how he was looking at this. He said the judge just denied Scott Stark's his continuance in Levy County. This is before that last, I'm in the ER, I'm in the root, I'm going, in a case for the thumbnail for tomorrow, where I'm a defendant. Although the case is officially dismissed, we still have an outstanding motion for sanctions against Stark. Reduce. That's right. Stark cited additional health issues, so the judge allowed him to appear via Zoom. The judge further ordered Stark to provide medical documentation, proof of his condition. I'll be present for the court hearing via Zoom. That's right. So he was there. That's what I thought it said. I didn't read. I've only read that once, so I can remember with all the stupid there. But I can't wait. So again, Larry's like, hey, it's down. It's going to. Then they pull this bullshit. And, it's fascinating how far we've come. Because I wonder, again, Stark, I'm telling you, the way that they think they're going to do this, I would bet money on this, is they think that they're going to push out another lawsuit. That's their plan. Their plan, which is going to look really bad, by the way, if they pull this shit. But their plan is to take the 2 claims, that would be claim 2 and 3, which essentially was the thumbnail case, and trespass 5 rolled in, and they're going to try to roll it into something else. They're going to roll out a lawsuit. They've been talking about their big plan, the ecosystem, chirping about it. If they do that after they pulled this bullshit, considering what they pulled, they took 2 and 3, which 2 used to be the thumbnail case. After Stark was like, oh man, I'm ill. I can't be here. Remember, Bruce pretty much said that in a filing. He pretty much made it clear that the reason they did this is so they couldn't face any type of sanctions. But it's fascinating considering how this has gone. I mean, remember, I love looking at this stuff. This is why I keep screenshots. Remember, Bruce, at first, when there were talks about sanctions, he said that it was fake. He said it was absolutely fake. You had the subject come up. Larry had brought it up in a posting. Let's see. Yeah. So the original posting, actually, let's pull this up here. So the original posting about it, I love this stuff. I think it's so funny. It's so crazy because Bruce has been wrong about so many things, and yet he was held up like some kind of expert who is now gone, by the way. But DUI guide said, our motion for sanctions for filing a frivolous lawsuit and making us spend money on attorney fees against Bruce and Scott is going to be heard in Levy County. You have the date, February the 5th, in front of Judge Davis. Megan Fox informed me she'd have a camera person in the room. Remember, this is back when in February, so Chandler and I will be there along with Jeremy, I imagine, George, to confront our accusers. I look forward to this. Buckle up, justice is coming. Well, remember, Bruce at that time was like, this is all, it's just a fake PR storyline. And look how far we've come. I love it because, again, the ecosystem pretends this never happened. These posts never existed, right? They tell these people who think that Bruce is some kind of legal genius that all of this stuff never happened. Bruce told you at the time, that's a storyline for PR. The case is closed. There's no schedule. There's no sanctions motion scheduled. February the 5th was a hearing for a motion for summary judgment, which is moot. There's no basis for seeking damages for having to spend money to defend a frivolous lawsuit unless you've prevailed on the underlying allegedly frivolous lawsuit in Smartt. This is the dumbest statement, by the way. I can't believe this fucking clown said this. I can't. It amazes me. You can't sue over somebody suing you for a frivolous lawsuit unless you win. Oh, yeah, you can. You certainly can. Otherwise, again, and I've said this a few times, but I feel like I need to say this again because these people are morons. You can sue. You can sue for sanctions because people brought something they never intended to do anything with. I mean, doesn't that make sense? They set and they make you spend money. Otherwise, you could just bleed a person financially. You could do this. You could bankrupt individuals. I mean, you think about how dumb that is. Otherwise, what keeps you from opening 32 lawsuits? Like Baskin-Robbins flavors. And just bleeding a person financially dry. It's the risk that you take when you do that. Again, you hold out so long, you make people answer, and it screws you. So Bruce was totally wrong in this, and he found out. So it was voluntarily dismissed without prejudice so we can refile. Then he goes through his emergency removal proceeding. That's fake, blah, blah, blah. And Megan Fox will continue to promote it in her plan to cover it live because it creates suspense. Well, they panicked a lot over a fake storyline. Huh?
Thank you for the Coke.
What are you doing, kiddo? What you doing, kiddo?
Watching TV, but if I tell you this, you don't tell anyone else.
You're live. If it's bad, don't tell me.
And we stepped down laundry because it was nighttime.
You what?
We stepped down laundry. We stepped down laundry.
You haven't finished the laundry folding?
No, we had to take a break from that because look at me. You should have seen how many clothes we
I know. There's a bunch of clothes to fold. That's what it is. You know?
So we have
So you
to
skip down on. Okay, well, you better.
If you go to sleep,
Okay.
I got the chocolate bunnies and the world.
Well, you better go. You better go chill then. If you're going to skip out on your folding stuff,
It's like a lazy day.
Yeah. Well, go do your thing then.
I use the bathroom though.
You need to go to. Okay, we'll go to the bathroom then.
I actually used it, but I have something that I don't have to say in the chat.
No, well, you can tell me later then.
What's the opposite of candy?
What's the opposite of candy? Nothing.
No.
Vegetables.
Like fruits.
Vegetables.
What's your favorite vegetable? I don't really like apples, bananas, and oranges.
You like fruits, right? Yeah.
I only like 3 fruits.
You like broccoli. You like peas. You like asparagus. No? What look is that on your face?
I don't like these foods.
What about Brussels sprouts? People are naming Brussels sprouts.
That's the favorite.
That's not your favorite for sure.
I don't like fruit. Only if they're apples.
Do you like pears?
What's pears?
You've had a pear before. They look like they're when it's a fruit. It's like a little hourglass shape like that.
Oh.
You've had them before. I don't remember if you liked it or not.
I do like it.
You do like it? Okay.
Yeah, that's my first favorite fruit.
Okay.
My second favorite fruit is pineapples. If I try pineapples, I will like
Wyatt's
them.
Grammy said that the opposite of candy is sadness. Oh, because there's no candy. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree with that one, huh?
Yeah, because I like candy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's 100%. Mark it on. All right, you going upstairs then?
I'm choosing something for the candy box.
Oh, what a craziness. All right.
I'm looking for candy.
Hey, kiddo, you need to go upstairs. I got to finish what I'm
I'm
doing.
looking for some candy from the candy box on this box.
All right, well, find you something real quick. And give her a minute to find something because subject-wise is not a friendly subject. All right, did you find something?
Maybe I'll look at the candy box and see if there's anything good.
All right, well, you can look on the stuff upstairs then. You know,
Look at the candy.
Miss Rain.
Yes.
Better pick something out. Better hurry up.
A trophy.
I know, but you're going through. Okay, you can have that. All right, well, bring it to me real quick. You can have that.
Thank you for the Coke. Thank you for the Coke.
Uh-huh. Yep, you're welcome. Here you go.
I'm
Hey.
taking this magnet.
Here, take this.
I'm taking this magnet.
What magnet? Show me. Yeah, you can have that one. That's yours anyway.
Yeah. Make sure it doesn't get close to the screen.
Yes, do not put it on the computer or your TV or anything. You're right.
Or a remote if it has a remote.
Okay, or a remote. All right, here we go. Okay, give me a second here. I got another screenshot I was going to show you. Now, remember, we just finished with BBB's answer to that. Remember, he was saying, this is all PR storyline. And he also, along with that, you had him talking about how there's not only no basis, just to make this clear, he said there was no basis and he wanted to upload. Again, this is the kind of person he is. You know how he is. He posted that, by the way, he's apparently scrubbed his entire Facebook. Is that right, Bruce? Did you scrub your entire Facebook? That's kind of a clownsel move, isn't it? I mean, I thought you were proud of everything you said. And then it's like, I'm going to disappear it. But he said, there's no basis for sanctions. None. Oh, it's very clear. It's very clear. Well, yeah, apparently there's a lot of people afraid of that. They keep jumping ship anytime sanctions is talked about. So Larry, followed up with that and was like, no, that's not actually right. In fact, here's the rules that apply to it. Again, 21 days, voluntarily dismissed. I'm not going to read all of this, but yeah, it's all there. Now, on top of that, remember, he kept saying that all of this was a fraud. It didn't exist. Then you had, again, the judicial assistant to the judge come out and be like, yeah, okay, well, here's our notice. Again, we had our motion for sanctions set that day. And now it was fascinating to me that they know this. This points out what kind of liars you're dealing with, by the way, just to say, because Bruce was celebrating in chats that it had been canceled. And I hope that this, stuff like this is the kind of shit that gets you in trouble as clownsel, like the real clownsel out there. because he was like, FYI, it may be postponed. Well, I thought it didn't exist at all, idiot. I thought it actually was gone. And it was all a fake talking point by these folks. But then, oh, well, because he always knew that it was real. He's a douchebag. Well, he knew afterwards. He probably didn't know at first because he's that kind of guy. But later on, when he found out, he can't admit it. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? So we also, along with all of this wonderful stuff, we've had somebody deciding they were going to take posting into their own hands and start talking about everything. And I found this to be, well, quite interesting too. Now, give me a second here. Let me lock in on that. So you can see all these wonderful posts by by LMNOP. These, by the way, are interestingly attached to her own account. And it's been kind of crazy to see. Why are you posting on your own account? Is there some kind of fallout? Is that what's been happening? I thought it was really interesting too. And somebody pointed this out to me. You know, I've forgotten all about this, and I'm glad that they pointed out. Appreciate that, by the way. You know, it's freedom of speech. Starts talking about that. You know, when she started talking about freedom of speech before, when she had her falling out with Shara, that's when that talking point actually came up the last time. So it's kind of fascinating that you have freedom of speech coming up yet again. One day. Freedom of speech is precious and a right we've all been given, so please don't waste it. Now, these idiots don't understand the freedom of speech. You know, again, you can make inference. You can look at something and say X, Y, and Z. You can make all kinds of statements like that. You can't just make statements that come out of the blue and are attached to it. Nothing. You can't say that someone is a PDF file based on, well, you want to destroy them or hurt them. You can't reverse things that happen in your life and attach them to other people. You can't do stuff like that. That's just not how it works. So they accuse, or rather confuse. I was like, accuse. No, wait a minute. They confuse freedom of speech with going out and just making baseless commentary and thinking that you have no ramification or repercussion from it. You know, and we're not talking about challenging speech here either. We're not talking about parody, you know, mocking folks. That's not what we're discussing here at all. So it's fascinating. But even more, like I said, is this this talking point that comes up after a falling out that has happened in the past. Now, I found this to be interesting too. This has been brought up a lot. Now, first of all, I do not make any type of diagnostic statements about people. That is something that I simply do not do. I may talk about their diagnosis that's out there, but this is such a fascinating little discussion because what essentially she's talking about here is she's saying she's never had a psychological evaluation. She's normal and healthy. Nobody's ever asked her to speak. By the way, that's not true. Again, as the millionth time, Miss Preston, you are totally allowed to come up here and you can have a microphone. You just reach out. My email is very easy to find. It's under the About section on YouTube. You can find it it says for business inquiries. You can just reach out there. Yeah, when you come on though, you have to remember, I'm not gonna be like the ecosystem. I will ask you questions. I will prepare. You should be prepared too, but I will be prepared with evidence to ask you about things that you might not want to talk about. So I don't think you would come on. I don't think you'd have the audacity to do it, just to be honest. But to say that no one has ever said that you could speak your side, Well, remember, first of all, Grudge Judge Thomas's made it very clear that if people just haphazardly reached out to Lynette Preston, that it could have caused Jeremy a real problem. It could have ended up, with him potentially facing charges. So people didn't do that. Like for myself, I didn't, I was like, no, but I've extended the invite. He is totally welcome to reach out. It's just fascinating. Again, even in the ecosystem, they won't give you a microphone, Preston. You notice that? Isn't that weird? But as far as talking to doctors and more, talking about tests and more, no, nobody did that. And this whole talking point about Munchausen, I seem to remember her saying that, I believe it was her mother suffered from Munchausen syndrome. Wasn't that correct? If I have to go and pull the quote itself, I'll do that. But I very well believe that was, and you can correct your own statement if you feel that. But as far as Munchausen syndrome, they keep trying to say that, like Megan Fox said, oh, Munchausen. No, actually, that's not correct. that is not correct at all. I think Megan Fox has made it pretty clear, doesn't believe in Munchausen syndrome. I think that is like very clear there. And me, I don't talk about that at all. If other people have talked about it, well, whatever. But no form of mental illness, all these statements. Now, it is interesting when you talk about papers, though. One of the things that is always conveniently left out, and I mean, you can respond to these too. Back in 2006, there was a health center that did comment about stepmom Lacey. Let me pull this up. This is actually one that, since we're talking about documents and we're talking about all this other, remember this, because I very well remember this, about concern. I'm writing to address my grave concern about Redacted's home situation. Redacted is currently living with her stepmom, Lacey. We've been treating Redacted for several months now. Redacted is currently diagnosed with PTSD and reactive attachment disorder. Redacted has a history of significant abuse and neglect by her biological mother. She has also reportedly been moved back and forth between dad and stepmom. Therefore, Redacted has special emotional needs. There are, for consistency, stability, nurturing, and clear conscience, give me a second, consequences which match the misbehavior in this type of environment, there is a chance that Redacted could solve trauma issues and be able to have a secure relationships. She would also significantly less risk of drug use, chronic mental illness, and have success in her occupation. However, in the time that we've been treating Redacted, we had increasingly grave concerns about Lacey's ability to parent Redacted. Further, I strongly feel that her parenting has worsened Redacted's condition. I am positive that in the environment, Redacted will continue to deteriorate. This is a direct result of Lacey's parenting. Lacey denies any issue with her parenting and blames Redacted for all the issues. However, I've personally witnessed Lacey yelling at staff, cussing, projecting blame, and missing appointments on the staff. This occurred in front of other patients and was some of the worst behavior I've witnessed from a parent. It was clear she was out of control. Lacey continued to display significant mood swings, going from inappropriate to enraged. She also is quite clear in front of Redacted that she does not want her. She said to staff that she would lose the income Redacted brought, and that she planned to get more by applying for disability for Redacted. She's belittling and demeaning to Redacted in front of staff. I had direct experience of this to the point that I have Redacted leave and address her behavior with Lacey. I recommend a clear behavioral plan that would take the harsh, critical, demeaning parenting style, the relationship, and this goes on and on. There's a lot of this. So, it's all attributed when there's discussions about the now, but we've seen documentation. Now, ultimately, any type of claim, any type of case has not been about that, but they keep saying they're going to sue on behalf of children and stuff. Okay. Well, again, you know what's really a very alarming thing to see? Alarming thing to see is a message that you have sent to another person that your lawyer, your own lawyer, confirmed, saying that you thought that there was some type of inappropriate thing that happened to your child in your home. And you weren't going to report that because you were afraid you'd lose your kid. That is disturbing as fuck. Especially now that it's all, well, there's no drinking, therefore. Now, what's fascinating in this stuff, too, is you see people commenting. They're asking, and she's commenting back. So I thought it would be interesting to catch some of that. You know, you have people saying, hey, you need to focus on getting those case files in the 7-day period. Bruce said all discovery was complete, so you need copies of filings, depot, and discovery, or you can play the victim again. Also, again, remember, depot's not done, discovery's not done, so he's wrong. He's wrong. You just got screwed by your old team. Where's the money, by the way? And people are commenting here, too. People are definitely commenting. I'm reading some of this stuff here. She needs to forget about the case with Jeremy. He's already won. She needs to sue Deuce. So she likes this. So let's see what she's agreeing with. LOL. He made it absolutely clear. He reserves distinction to impose sanctions. He never said he was going to sanction him. Okay. The court always issues 30 days to investigate crime discovered in a civil case. The case is over. What? What? No. What are you talking about? The case is not over in any way, shape, or form. The case has been paused, and these are new comments. So these people have no idea what's going on here. This amazes me. And there's comments like this all over the place. Some of them do think discovery is gone. Some of them think the case has somehow been dismissed. No. Lynette Preston is pro se. She is out there with John Cook, and they're representing themselves. And if they don't fucking find another lawyer, it continues in 30 days. So I'm not sure what you think happened there, but that's not it. Not it. Not it at all. It's just amazing. But let's see. Just Journeys. Where are you? Just okay. So this is okay. I was making sure you were the top person that said that. I'm making sure of who is responded to. LOL. Again, you don't even hear what you're supposedly hearing. We are fine. We've got everything handled. No worries. Okay, we'll see that one. I don't play the victim. I've been made a victim, but I'll come out a survivor as I always do, stronger and a lot smarter. Okay. Let's see. There's no more comment. You can tell when somebody comments, by the way. If you're curious, if you want to see if the person who runs that, what they've commented on, you notice their little icon will pop up by it. So here's another one. Lynette, can I ask a sincere question? Why did you and John fire Bruce? I was shocked to hear it. Oh, let's see. Some people are like, that's none of your business. That's not it. None of your business. None of your business. The excuses are funny too, you know. If she chose to fire him, well, that's good to go. It's fascinating. I thought he was the greatest lawyer ever, though. I thought he was jumping in there, doing his own thing. But apparently it's nobody's business. Let's see. Let me get down here. No, you're in here somewhere. Let's see. Lori said, Michelle is speaking for herself. I am speaking my witness to the truth I see. No, I won't mind my business and let the hypocrite mind Michelle's business. I don't care who you're asking a question. You don't control anyone here. You could see that like pop it up. I was going to see if she's answering any other thing that had popped up in there. So she's like, "You're very wrong. Stop believing lies again. It doesn't look good on you." Oh my God. You don't know. You have no idea. You know? He asked about her disability. If you're not on an SSDI for mental issues, what's your disability? We've seen you running, lifting heavy objects. I had a bad back, so we should be reevaluated. My medical issues and disability, none of your business. It's called HIPAA. Actually, HIPAA doesn't work that way, by the way. HIPAA does not relate to private individuals. HIPAA will relate to your medical records. That's true. But they 100% have a right to ask. You know, this random person is not under any obligation not to ask you. So if you think HIPAA works that way, you're wrong, you know. But it's already been checked out. Stop believing lies. Just because you can pick something out doesn't mean you don't have a disability physically. Think about it. And that's true, to be honest. That is. I hate to agree with this person here, but you cannot always see a person's disability. You can't. You never know what somebody is disabled with. So we do have some fascinating claims by certain individuals, though, that would make you think they would have some problems with some of the things they do. Right? Go ahead and make the call. Do you think it already hasn't been tried? Do you think that I haven't already been reevaluated because of all this? Tell me. And the only one laughing is her. The only one laughing is her. She's mad, dude. This is fucking funny stuff. Oh my God. But you can see, okay, so that's the first thing. Let's see what else is commented on. That was kind of interesting. There are a lot of comments that weren't. Let's see if there's any more. Give me a minute. I'm curious. It's so strange she also posted earlier that all of it's handled. She's going to go. Everything we've done for a reason. By the way, you know, all of this is a plan. That's the master plan, by the way. All is well, no worries. We have this handled. We did everything we have done for a reason. Bear with us and go with the process. You do know how jacked up that sounds, right? Our lawyer was dragged into court, which he refused to go to. He refused. And his answer to that was, I'm out. I'm out. I got to get out of here. That's part of the process. Really? And they realize what they're trying to do. Like I said, their master plan, this is again my opinion, but their master plan is to try to get money in a sanctions filing so they can put together another lawsuit. That's what they're trying to do. The problem is, again, you know, oh my God, this circus that they fucking created is such a mess. It is so detrimental. The Stark thing, really? Stark begging to get off the case and looking down the barrel of sanctions. That was your master plan. So your master plan was to screw Stark. I hope he realizes that, by the way. I mean, Stark doesn't seem like he's been told the master plan, does he? I wonder, hey, Stark, you know, if you ever want to talk to somebody about the master plan and how you were left out in the cold, how you still don't have a car and you're in the hospital and more, well, maybe you should. I'm sure, though, if Stark ever wanted to actually speak up, he'd probably get threatened just like everyone else does, you know? I mean, honestly, let's be totally legit with that. Bruce has threatened everyone else. That is just, even, remember, he was contacting employers and more. You know, and I found that fascinating that was one of his things he pointed out too, that someone could find out someone else's schedule online, and that would be beyond the pale. But contacting other people's employers and trying to blow up their lives, that's totally business as usual, right? It's so bizarre. So bizarre. But I imagine that's just over somebody going in and wanting to talk about the past. So can you imagine if somebody actually had dirt around that guy? Could you imagine the reaction? Because I'm going to assume it would be quite profoundly crazy. Very, very crazy stuff. Oh my gosh. What a bunch of wildness, a bunch of lunacy. Let me check these and see if there's any other commentary. Like I said, I before all this stuff disappears, I try to people are noting that's funny. Like, Tree God here and it said, Lisa's trying to cut a deal. Cut your losses and sue her and Bruce while you can. Bruce made it easy for you. He should have malpractice insurance in practice in Florida. That's true too, actually. For see, I guess that's another layer. They wanted their paydays and more. Well, as far as counsel, you might even. I mean, he did such a bad job of ineffective counsel that he's probably opened himself up to a fucker of a lawsuit. He ends up getting sued like that, though. Here's going to be the real test for it. This is the real issue. What happens when she decides to go after him? If he gets hit with his insurance, your insurance carrier, when you get hit and there's judgments against you, especially if you actually did something wrong, oh baby, your insurance will drop you like man, that would drop you very quickly. God, she's been posting here for 2 weeks, huh? That's fascinating. But the whole talking point of Munchausen by proxy, all of that stuff, that has become an entire ecosystem talking point. And the reason for that is because it keeps people from talking about what's happening in the case. And it also, so Jeremy brought up a few fascinating things too. I wrote this down today. He was talking about Ohio. As far as Ohio and Ohio fees, those Ohio fees, the money that she was ordered to pay, I mean, that's legit. She's supposed to pay that. Also, any site, this is a fascinating little quandary too. If they try to fundraise that, any site would have it 100% against terms of service. The way they've been fundraising anyway is totally off the grid. Like somebody's going to get a hold of someone one day and it's going to cost them big time. It's going to cost them channels and more. You mark it and that will happen. But if they try to fundraise for something like what happened with Ohio, that is because somebody had a protective order against them in violations. You are not allowed to fundraise on any site for something like that. That's just not allowed at all. You have some sites that will allow you to fundraise for litigation. You have like Give, Send, Go, for example. You could put up something and ask for money for a lawsuit. If you're defending yourself, GoFundMe depends, and so on. But if you read the terms of service, if you have a judgment against you, that's not where it works out. So just to note that. So if they think their master plan is part of, we're going to go and we're going to try to fundraise that, man, that's some bullshit. I'll tell you right now, if that happens, I myself will report it. I would find that disturbing. And the reason yes.
I love you.
I love you too.
Have a good dream.
Hey, okay. Well, hey, you need to go lay down though, for real.
You have a good dream and they'll have a good dream.
Okay. Well, you need to go lay down though, okay? Love you.
Love you.
All right. Go get in
In the
bed.
living room, the light won't work.
Yeah, I know. We probably have to change that big light out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we use that pole light, you know?
What hole?
The pole light, the one that I set on the kitchen thing.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why that's there. All right, close the door, baby. She came flying down. You could hear her before she got out of here. See how loud she is. All right, thank you.
I love you. I love you.
I love you too,
I
baby.
love you, everyone.
Everybody loves you too, baby. Okay, with the Ohio files, like I was saying though, I typically will not report things because I don't like that back and forth. But I find it very disturbing that somebody could stalk another person, could have violations repeatedly levied against them, and then for them to be like, "Oh, give me money," no, that won't fly. That wouldn't at all. That is well beyond. It is one thing for them. I mean, the stuff they've done anyway is fucking insane. And at a certain point, there will be a moment to pay for a lot of that stuff. I did find it fascinating too. You know, you had paint chips. So Jeremy mentioned in a video that he would be adding Dark Touch in paint chips. Now, Paint Chips has done some crazy stuff, by the way. He has made what I can only describe as revenge porn. He's taken real faces, imagery. He put together some other just what the hell images. And what's really interesting is Darth Touch, he doesn't just share a byline with him. His bylines share those pictures. That's weird. So if they think now, of course, they can try to scream parody or humor. Yeah, you know, there's a line. There's a line that cause you problems there. So you just have to keep that in mind. But they've gone well beyond that. Remember, they contacted the ADL to try to knock somebody's business down. They tried to high pressure coerce people through doxing and intimidation. A guy that, again, has been convicted of extortion and fraud and much more, by the way. But it tried really high pressure tactics, threats, and more. I mean, it's just craziness. That guy doesn't think there could be anything against him. He's like, I'm gonna sue $5 million. Now, I don't think you've got 5 fucking cents to file a lawsuit against somebody. Paint Chips is already involved in litigation. That's a fascinating thing too. You found out there's another person that is. They're not only involved in litigation against someone, but they have alleged that this person brought in 2 people that are sketchy, does not describe it. One of those people that was brought in to try to harass and intimidate was none other than Paint Chips. That's right. So, yeah, the description in the litigation there too, it is something else. We'll have to look at that one day. We definitely will. When Paint Chips is on the board for all of that, that'll be an interesting talk. Let's hit some super chats. Let's do it. T42, thanks for the 12 months. 1 year in, baby. 1 year in. Thank you for that, by the way. Gotten in the symbols. That's what all those are in there, too. Kicking it off. Thank you. Appreciate you. I always love some of those symbols, too. By the way, Eshan asked a question in the chat. I want to address it, actually. You're asking about mourning with the loss of a parent. You're asking about timeline, like how long, with mourning. I don't know if you're talking about appropriateness or how long it'll go on, but there is no time. Used to in old diagnostics, like if you're talking about it from a professional standpoint, they used to put a timeline on things, but now they don't, and they never should have. You should never feel like that, and we all adjust to that on our own speed. It's good to have somebody like a professional to talk to, though. It took me, with the loss of a parent, it took me 6 months to even function right. And that wasn't it just shut me down 6 months. And on top of that, excuse me, sorry, I didn't mean to clear my throat with the microphone nearby. But on top of that, it took years, and it still comes up. So, I mean, there's, if that's what you're looking at, I mean, grief doesn't have that kind of boundary. You're just over time, we pick up, we move forward, and over time, we're able to remember the good things, not just the end and the bad. So, I mean, hopefully that helps. Appreciate you too. But I saw you bring that up at the beginning. I wanted to say something with that. Frankie, 31. Thank you for 10 gifted memberships. I watched this rain in right at the beginning too. I love those things. Thank you. That's awesome. I have no idea how to pronounce your name. Yeah, I'm going to say, I guess it's KH Ryan, right? Isn't that's what we're going with? I don't know if you blur it all together some way. I'm not sure. Maybe it's initials that go in there. But if it's anything else, I messed your name up. But thank you for your membership. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your membership. Welcome to Tugs. Much appreciated, by the way. Thank you. Papa Lives. What's up, man? It's good to see you. Very much so. 34 freaking months too. That's awesome. Dropping the symbols too. Top hats and awesome. Love it. Thank you. Jody, thank you for your membership. It's much appreciated. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your membership and welcome to Tugs. Much appreciated. Jada, thanks for the 5 there. More delays. That's right. We are never going to get to have another puppet stick show. Actually, what's beautiful about this, we'll eventually have something. But it's funny because in a month, what we're going to find out is, number one, do they actually have any idea with counsel what's going to happen there? And I'm not saying they won't have counsel. Maybe they'll find somebody. Who knows? But the mess that Bruce caused. See, Bruce caused them more problems than anything else because all the buzzwords mean F all. I mean, they have attacked every lawyer that has ever gotten near this case. Any lawyer, not just the people on the other side of it either. They've attacked their own counsel, and eventually they will attack the counsel they're attached to. You mark it. They will do that because I'm basing that on them attacking everyone else. They will have something negative to say, So them bringing in counsel, I don't know why any counsel would want, unless they're desperate for money. If you get you don't really want a desperate lawyer. You want a hungry lawyer, but you don't want a desperate lawyer. There's a big difference, like a lawyer that's hungry, that likes to win. Those are good, but they don't have to take you on. Like if you watch Larry, for example, you watch his clips from him going into trial. He's hungry. He likes to win. He likes it. You like that drive. You want that. But you don't want desperate. Desperate is like a Stark. If they're desperate, no. If they're hungry, they don't need you, And if anybody looks at, again, they look at any lawyer. You have to ask why as many lawyers that have been attached to Preston. This is the damage that Bruce and Stark do. By the way, Bruce's idea that he's going to continue to legally advise or do anything behind the scenes, you get caught doing that, Bruce, you have a real problem. Real problem. Because again, you noted that you were terminated from this case. If you're like, well, actually, after everything that's going on, woo, man, I mean, you would hope, like, Bruce should put the ego aside, but he won't be able to. He won't. I feel like we give him good advice a lot, but I don't think he can put it away. I don't think he can ever let go. He wants to get revenge. He thinks, see, this is such a bizarre thing, but he thinks everyone else did something to him instead of him doing it to himself. All of that craziness and pettiness. Him again talking about how he was going to create the biggest lawsuit ever and he was going to sue everybody. Him begging for coverage. Then when he gets it, he doesn't like it. He gets crazier. He acts like a total ass. He attacks like Jeremy Hales. He gets mad about Hale's reaction. I mean, look at what the man was doing. He wasn't opposing counsel. Opposing counsel, first of all, they typically can roll with, you don't see Randy out here attacking Lynette Preston and John Cook, despite everything the ecosystem is thrown its way, despite all this insanity, even their lawyer, which is their voice, attacking Randy. Did you see him out here in public attacking? No. He just can't figure that. It's so crazy there. But yeah, delay. We do need some puppet stick shows, though. I agree. Fallen Hero. What's up, Fallen Hero, man? It's good to see you always. I do appreciate you quite a bit. Thank you for the gifted membership. Thank you all. Like I said, you're here all the time. I appreciate you. Name. I love it when I recognize certain people all the time. I appreciate you all. Knock it offler. Thank you for the 5 there. I'd like to introduce myself like that. The GI with the best screen name on YouTube. The one, the only. Knock it offler 24. Pleased to be here. Well, I love the freaking I am very glad that you are here. I like it. The I and you is funny. Good. I do. I love it. Well, thanks for the 6 months there. Happy birthday, Megalodonus. Yep. Mine is on Thursday. Ooh, yours on Thursday. Well, remind me Thursday. I can sing for you now. I'll bust it out anyway. Happy birthday from all of us to you. Yeah. Happy birthday. May all your dreams come true. Yeah. Love it. Jameson, what's up, 2012? Thanks for the tater tug. I have a case that beats this one. Really? Mail it over. Let's see it. Mail over like a thing for it. I'm curious. With that. Now, again, just J-Hip. I didn't, and by the way, thank you for the 5 there. But the one answer to this question, he asked, explain why Paint Chips is randomly emailing everyone unhinged behavior. He might need some mental help. I think it's a distraction. I mean, he's been brought in, like he's been brought into other cases to cause problems, to intimidate, and to, you call them on their bluff, I mean, Fat Boy threatens to come to your home. Okay. Well, you'll have a fun trip to ye old freaking jail out here in the middle of nowhere. They would definitely jail you here for fucking around like that. Pretended to be a journalist, ex-con. You're fucking kidding me. Somebody with all that, but it's again tactic. They think that they can force people to do something. They can bully. And it's just, some people just laugh them off. They don't care anymore. Some people it works on. It does. It's sad that it does. But, you've seen certain YouTubers, I don't want to bring up their name, smaller YouTubers though, especially lately. They've gotten some pretty nasty flack too. And yeah, you've seen it on Facebook too. You've seen certain people when they post, you have the ecosystem take aim at them in live streams and more and attack the shit out of them and threaten to dox. And I mean, come on, it's nuts, lunacy. But that's the whole, it's the same thing. And is it unhinged? Yeah. And Paint Chips did have courts talk about his mental issues. He talked about them too. Now he denies he had them after pleading guilty with it. He's like, oh, I had to or else. But okay. Bug Naked, thanks for the 2. Anubis staring at the Born Dominium. Oh man, the Born Dominium. I do want to say, like I said, I imagine the 2 Chihuahuas, like Pink Floyd. The Pink Floyd pigs. You know, they're being around. Imagine chihuahuas like that looking down on the barn dominium right over the little privacy fence. Wouldn't that be beautiful? 2012 also, I send you email in the case. If you sent it before, I'll check in a little bit. But if you've sent it before, bump it up, okay? Because I'll check it again. Mama Lori, thanks for the 5 there. I set the dog memorial up like a red light, green light from the Squid Game, of course. It's the shutter like a camera. That would be really funny. That would. You see the little eyes like. It's funny. Cynic in Chief, thanks for the 2. What do you predict will be the flea's spin tonight? Master plan, baby. It's all a master plan, Cynic in Chief. You know, that's it. It is all in the plan. They're going to come back bigger, better, and bolder than ever. You know? Oh, my God. This is interesting, too. So apparently the talking point coming from there as well was the pictures that came out about them, because they like to make fun of Megan and other folks, you know. And there were pictures that came up with 2L1. They said, "Oh, those have been doctored." Yeah, no, they weren't. Saw where they came from. No, that's not it. That's so funny. Wonder. Thank you. Gifted membership, dropped one, and then dropped another one too. Thank you, Wonder. That is cool of you and very much appreciated. Thank you there. But be rad. Thank you for the membership there. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Thugs. And it's good to see you. Be rad. I appreciate you. Carol, thanks for the 2. I blocked him. Are you talking about BBB? I don't keep up. You know, a lot of these clowns, blocking them wouldn't help if, any of them, because they'll come back with sock puppets and anything else. I'm sure. I always wonder this, in fact. Like, we know that LMNOP and John Cook, they use sock puppet accounts. That means accounts other than the ones that they tell people that they use. We know that because we've seen John Cook talking about it with leaked messages with Shara. You know, he's like, I'm going to do this, do that. But we've seen them do this stuff, right? And we know Paint Chips and them do it because there are plenty of fake accounts associated with them. I always wonder how many fucking fake accounts are the ones that inhabit, stuff when there's comments on things. I wonder how many of those are real people. It's just, part of PR, part of the thing that these people, I imagine, run is you don't just create a narrative, but they create support for the narrative. That's part of the way folks push something like that. I always wonder how many people are really real. Patrick, thanks for the 5. I know this is a civil case, but do you think it's possible that after being shafted by our lawyers that the court would just appoint a lawyer? No, they've already decided on that. So they're not going to give her one after the fact. I mean, that's fortunately for them, and they burned the goodwill of the federal case. The judge is sick of everything with it. He hates this case, honestly. So for them to, come out with the old 10 cup jingling won't help. I don't think. I personally don't. Sticky. Thanks for the 5. Okay, Jed, I'm out for the night. Be good. Obey the mods. And remember, Sticky Widget is omnipresent. I don't know if you've been bad. You're like Santa Claus. Only widget based. I love it. I actually love it. It's so funny. Give me a second here, too. I'm setting up my redirect tonight. I want to make sure that you go over to... Well, he still hasn't on yet. So I've got a couple of minutes before he comes up there. But appreciate you, Sticky. Wyatt's Grammy. Thank you for the 4 months there. Like you said, opposite of candy is sadness. I know, that is so depressing. It's sad. Grandma Therese, thank you for the 5. According to Jeremy's members only live yesterday, Larry was flying into Tampa that day to attend court. So he may have been, he may have been planning that. He may have still been looking into seeing that. You know, he posted that he would be attending my Zoom, but maybe he didn't want people to know he was there either. You know, I mean, any of that is very possible. So he may have changed his mind. He may have been planning on it. Yeah, you know, and you have to. That's one of the things that are messed up when the courts are allowing this to happen. The day before, the kind of expenses that, you know, again, Larry is part of this case. He has the right to be there. So for them to pull that, I mean, if you've had costs, you know, if you're setting up, if Randy, let's just say, you know, Randy, who knows what prep, money, I mean, it's just, it adds in. But the courts, they should be looking at this and being like, this is pretty messed up. You can't just keep doing it, keep postponing and pulling bullshit. All they've done, though, is kick the can down the road. And you got to think about this. So let's just say they kick this down the road another month. All right. When they do that, you know, again, you've had this lawyer wanting to be removed. But the lawyer, the problem with this is he can't just walk away because of sanctions. So that's where Stark finds himself. He could be removed, but he's still liable. You know, and you have to wonder this too. Like when there's a discussion about it, the game Stark's playing, who's going to argue sanctions? Let's just say that you kick him to the curb. They're like, okay, we'll let you remove yourself. Is he going to come in and argue? How is he planning on doing that? You cannot continually delay something forever. And again, like I said, they're kicking the can down the road. Sooner or later, you're going to run out of road. And when they do, Bill's coming home. It is coming home. It's coming due. It's going to be something to find out, though, isn't it? Bronson, thanks for the 10. Tug explained pear-shaped, LOL. Yeah, I was like, how am I going to describe that? You know, if I were describing it to an adult, I'd be able to describe it pretty easily. But to a little kid, I was trying to, you know, show her with my hands. And I was like, this doesn't even feel right. It feels strange. I feel like she trolls me sometimes. I feel like the little one trolls me. Weed Toast, thanks for the membership, by the way. Thank you, Weed Toast. I appreciate it. It's good to see you again. Always makes me laugh. I always think Sexy Toast. Sexy Toast got cooked. You're the more healthy version of that sexy white bread. So it's good. Adair, how's it going, Adair? It's good to see you, Adair. I appreciate you. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships on that too. Thank you very much. That is awesome. Becky, thanks for the 2. Unfortunately, Stark is a scapegoat. Well, you know, the problem with that, yeah, I mean, he does eat pretty much everything that was aimed there. The only problem, like I said, with looking at him with any empathy or sympathy or whatever, is the fact that Stark, at the end of the day, he wouldn't have that for anyone else. If he would have gotten a payday like he thought he was going to, it would have come out. It would have come out of Jeremy's pocket, Larry's pocket, whomever, and he'd be celebrating all the way to the bank. It felt like they were, you know, they were counting that money already, right? So as much as, yeah, I do believe he has become the scapegoat. I believe you're 100% right. I don't have any empathy for it. You know, I don't feel like he was a patsy in this game. I feel like he joined up with some very unscrupulous figures, and those people, they ended up doing what unscrupulous people always do. You know, when the problems come in, they scatter. And that's what we've seen. But yeah, I do believe that, Becky, too. I think you're right in that. Just like I said, my empathy's not there. And thank you, Becky. I appreciate you. And thanks for the Janice, rather. Thank you for the 12 months. 1 year, baby. It's good to see that. Thank you. Appreciate you. It's weird. I'm a type 1 diabetic. Had a cataract surgery. Had an ulcer on my leg once. And I still always showed up to appointments and obligations. Indeed. You know, and imagine it being your profession. Okay. Well, it's like me, man. I've been having like medical problems and stuff. You don't see me miss very many streaming days for it. You know, I'll take a day off or something sometimes. Like I took a couple of days. You know, I didn't feel good. And I was like, well, there's a weekend. I'm gonna take the weekend off. But typically, people don't work 7 days a week. I'll stream every day. You know, I work every day if I get a chance on it. You know, I enjoy doing this. It doesn't feel like work, but I mean, most people show up for work, even with that, show up to obligation, like you're saying. Stark is even if you can't, though, even if you had problems, Stark is, I mean, it feels like he's gaming people. Feels like he is, you know, pulling the old middle finger out. And that is something else, isn't it? So weird. So weird because I've never seen a lawyer game like this. I've seen lawyers do some shady things, pull some shady business, but the way that this is going just seems beyond that, doesn't it? Misbehaving, thanks for the 2 there. Just woke up, just want to drop some love in. Well, I appreciate that, misbehaving, and I appreciate you. Sincerely, I very much appreciate you. You know, give me 1 second here. Checking something. But thank you, misbehaving. I do appreciate you. Thanks. You also drop 20 in there. Thank you. I see that Cash App. It says sending love in the monies. Well, thank you for that. That is very nice of you. That is very cool of you too. We're rolling up on Easter. By the way, Easter weekend. I will probably. I realize that we have a religious holiday for Friday. I will probably still stream. It is a holiday. I try to stream on holidays, you know, and Sunday, I'm not sure if I will stream or not, but I will probably stream Friday, no matter what. Because again, it's always good to have a place to be, no matter what, you know, and I always like everybody, including myself, to know that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go over to Old Shizzy. I'm going to redirect you there. I appreciate you all too today. 1 minute. I'm getting this set up. I'm making sure that this is going to go. Hey, by the way, Miss Cruise Ship Mama, I'm sorry, I didn't want to miss you there. Thanks for the $5. I had a total knee replacement and was back to work a week later, although I was allowed to work from home. Indeed, that's what I'm saying. Like most people, you are 100% right. Most people, they don't set like when you look at Stark and them too. Those folks, they brought this litigation. What was the plan? Like, this is what I don't understand in there. What was the plan? Did they think that they would get to set up and do nothing? Again, I think they were promised a settlement. I think they thought, oh, we're going to get a settlement. We're going to get somebody to do that. Or somehow we're going to weaponize this for the benefit of our other case. You know, something in that. And you're going to get your fat payday. That's how it felt to me. And none of that makes sense I mean, when you think about it, it doesn't make dollars or cents, does it? It's so bizarre. So I wonder, like, what were they planning on doing with depots? When you had to argue anything in a case, did they really, they figure they could just bring it, let it sit, hope they could do damage, get a settlement or whatever, and then dismiss? It's so bizarre. Like I said, I don't understand the game plan. I don't know. Tomorrow, unless something comes up, tomorrow we will finally get around talking about Shara versus the ecosystem. I had to clip some more stuff anyway for it, so it's all good. It was a fascinating little dealie. That was a good one. I enjoyed it, but it's one that when it kicked off, I was like, wow. But today with the Stark stuff, that was wild to see. You know, so I thought that was important. And again, we've had Bruce, 2 lawyers. We keep having weird problems. But anyway, I'm going to. Oh, Carol, thanks for the 2 there. No, Volpe keeps emailing me. He's threatened me. Really? Forward that over to me. I'm curious what kind of threats you get from him. Like, he's a nut job. If you want to forward it over, we'll talk about what he's been sending to people because he's crazy. But yeah, shoot it over there if you want to. What's up, kiddo? Hey, I'm fixing to say bye. You want to come over here and say bye with me? All right, come over here. You want to tell everybody bye? Send them love? No. Oh, you you ran yourself into a cough. Yeah. All right.
Bye. Make sure you have a good sleep.
Yep. Bye. Make sure you have a good sleep. Actually, go watch Shizzy Wiznut first.
What's this? What that said?
That's his name. This is somebody we know. Shizzy Wiznut.
Yeah, watch her.
Yeah, what's your show?
I don't know if it's a boy or
That's a
girl.
boy. That's a boy. All right.
So watch the boys channel.
Watch the boys channel. All right. But anyway, appreciate you folks. We're going to end here. See ya.